Everyone, we are here to go over the expectations for the second piece of the Literary Expo project. Now, with this particular template, a little bit more involved since there are more requirements to the reflection regarding the fiction book. So obviously the first thing that you want to do is have your book title and the author written in the blank space provided. Following that, be thinking of the essential question: how does prior knowledge affect my choices in choosing literature to read? Now, when you're responding to each of these sections that are involved in section 2, you want to make sure that you respond in the letters section. So there will be a prompt, and then your response that relates to your book will be letters A, B, C, D, etc., etc. Now, you want to make sure that you provide at least 2 to 3 sentences per letter so that we can see that you are appropriately responding and that you are providing information and detail that you have derived from your book. So the first section here, you are to write a one-line introduction for your fictional novel. Now make sure that your sentence, and this is the only exception to the rule I just stated, includes the title of your book, the author's name, and a one-line premise or summary of what the book is about. So it's like your one-line chance to sell the book to the reader. Next, moving on to item number 2, we have the plot. Think about the pieces of Freytag's pyramid: the exposition, the inciting incident, the rising action, the climax, the falling action, the resolution, and the denouement. Now, as we have discussed in our class, we may not see all of those pieces of Freytag's pyramid within your particular novel, but do your best to categorize the different pieces of your novel within Freytag's pyramid. Next, respond with 2 to 3 sentences per question for the following 4 items. Were there any pieces of the pyramid missing? How long was the rising action compared to the falling action? So what built the excitement in your book, and then what tied the loose ends together as you neared the end? Letter C, was the resolution of the story clear? Now obviously this would vary based on the book that you read. If you read a book in a series that was towards the beginning, you're not going to have a clear resolution because the author wants you to read the next book or books in the series. And finally, letter D, was there manipulation or change of Freytag's pyramid? And again, was the denouement missing because the author wants you to read the next book in the series? Or perhaps was there a large flashback that occurred in the beginning of your novel to set the tone for the rest of the book? So, respond to those questions based on the novel that you have read. Now, item number 3, the point of view. And again, we're responding with 2 to 3 sentences. First, discuss the point of view. Was it first person, third person limited, or third person omniscient? And again, if you're unfamiliar with those terms and you need a refresher, just use your resources. Next, letter B. Explain which point of view the novel is written in and explain how you know that point of view. For instance, if the novel is written in first person, you would explain that the character used the word I continuously throughout the novel. Next, we're going to move on to the setting. So, where was the story set and when did it take place? Now, your book may have multiple settings. Maybe consider choosing the one that a majority of the book took place in as your main setting. Again, this is up to you. If you want to talk about multiple settings, feel more than welcome to. Moving on to number 5, the mood. Respond to the moods in your story with 2 to 3 sentences. Now, obviously the mood is going to vary as you read your novel, so your job is to pick 2 major moods within your story and describe each of them. Now, possible examples might come from a change in the storyline or a change in the setting. So think about those 2 items as you choose your moods. Obviously, the mood in the beginning of the story and the end of the story might be a little different depending on what happens within your plot. Moving on to item number 6, down at the very bottom here. We have characterization. First, describe your main character. What do they look like? What are their thoughts? What are their feelings? Moving on to letter B. What motivated your main character throughout the story? What was the main character trying to accomplish? Letter C. How did the main character resolve or fix the conflict within your story? So maybe your character had to go through a great quest or a magnificent and arduous journey in order to solve the main problem within the story. Talk about this in letter C. Moving on to letter D. Did the consequences of their actions, i.e., the resolution of the story, change the character from a static character to a dynamic one? Explain your answer. We've talked a lot about static and dynamic characters, so did the character undergo a change of heart from the resolution of the story, or have they stayed the same? Finally, item number 7. Explain how your topic was used in the story. So let's say you have the topic of ice cream. Was the character consuming ice cream all throughout the story, or did they stop at the grocery store to buy ice cream towards the end of the novel? Did they go and get milkshakes with a friend? How does the topic relate to your story? So this might be a question where you're saying how the topic really related to your story, or you might say, well, I just chose this topic based on what I read, and the character really didn't do too much with my topic. So item number 7 is just you reflecting on how well the fictional novel that you've chosen ties in with your topic. So there you have it, the overview of Section 2 of the Literary Expo.